Sega's dominance in arcade racing is unique because it's not associated with just one game or year, but instead an entire era that saw technology and taste change. Sometimes they were at the forefront as taste makers, but others were reacting to new trends. As a result, you can find people who adore one specific example of Sega's driving games, but not the rest, making it appealing for new developers to dig into each game as a starting point for something new. On the one end, you have the early superscalar scorcher, Outrun. Eschewing from Grand Prix races at the time, AI opponents are swapped out with a countdown that saps away precious time you spend behind the wheel of a Ferrari Testarossa, blasting through lush scenery to the sound of magical sound shower. It's a game where you race not just to impress, but instead to endure an awesome vibe for as long as possible. On the other end of the era, their early forays into polygonal races like Daytona USA and Sega Rally have an aesthetic that has become timeless. Although more conventional racing games, their bold look and robust physics are an unreality more appealing than our own, where fun and function is put above slavish recreation. As graphics and physics have only grown more accurate and photoreal for driving games, these titles have endured for striving for their own fantasy, whether that be behind the wheel of a Ferrari on a infinite 80s runway, or blasting through low-poly muddy trails in a souped-up rally car. It may be no surprise then that I have two games to recommend that feel like they're aiming to recapture the glory of these two separate eras of Sega. So I'd like to introduce a televised event for the ages, the Sega-inspired Racing Game Showdown! In the red corner, weighing at 67 meg, developed by Skydevilpalm and published by Platonic Friends, is Victory Heat Rally, a melding of superscalar aesthetics with Mario Kart mayhem. I had played a demo of this earlier in the year at the indie festival VOed and have been keen to cover it, although at the time didn't have much of an interesting thesis beyond how it adapts Outrun, not through recreating how it was, but instead how we remember it. Sunny beaches, neon colours and blazing fast draw speeds. This has let the developers' creative mind shine as they go further in their inspirations. Its cast of racers vie with the big personalities of Street Fighter and F-Zero. Its user interface design owes more to the bold look of Sonic Mania than Sega's own releases. Even its beach babes, used as tutorial prompts and storytellers, likely owe something to Ridge Racer. Gameplay-wise, there is no choppy superscalar technology being used here, but instead levels are fully polygonal, allowing racers to play out as fast and frantically as wanted, while keeping a legible aesthetic reminiscent of that hardware. That goes too for vehicles that are rendered in Super Mario Kart style as pre-rendered sprites that rotate and deform as they turn. It's a unique look that initially I didn't quite get, but in the heat of racing, getting a sense of how much I was turning was appreciated, and designing them slightly tilted back allows a wider view of the road ahead. It pushes Heat Rally out of being too indebted to Sega's Outrunners and helps it become entirely its own thing. While not exactly channeling the Race to the Sunset vibes of the original Outrun, Victory blazes its own path that is unabashedly cartoon, more toyetic and playful. The kind of game you'd imagine could have been a Sega Saturn transition title mixing great sprite work with the benefits of early 3D. After my time with the demo, I'm excited to see what a full campaign of Victory Heat Rally looks like, but more so I'm keen to pop it into my rotation of multiplayer games. It's fast, it's fun, and very easy to pick up and play. Of all the Outrun style games I've played over the years, this one appreciates from going the extra mile and finding its own unique vibe to cultivate. In the blue corner, weighing at 104 meg and developed by the creator of Jellycar, is Parking Garage Rally Circuit. I've wanted to play this game the moment I saw it in Twitter dev videos, not just for its unique gameplay, but also how pitch perfect a pastiche it was of Sega Rally, down to vivid transparency effects and affine texture warping. As its name suggests, this rally doesn't take place on rough natural terrain, but instead in cramped and concrete parking complexes, one still in active use as parked cars act as barriers. In an ironic subversion of Sega's classic races, you still visit exotic locations around the world with fitting vistas and landmarks, but you won't see any of them while driving around the same low overhead structures. With this change in location, PGRC is a challenge of managing your turns and mastering drifting for small bursts of speed, whether you're doing a time attack or racing against AI components. These tracks are so short they're akin more to FPS arenas, encouraging you to quickly replay and master them in a matter of minutes. Like the attention to physics of his previous title Jellycar, the handling model here is a nice Sega mix of function and realism that favours fun, letting you turn on a dime and correct drifting easily. It's a style of racing that I haven't got to enjoy outside of Dirt 3's Gymkhana mode and the tutorial level of Driver 1, and I'm glad to see a dedication to it here. I'm also wowed by the attention to detail taken with its graphical effects. Before the game begins, you're presented with a PC settings window at the time, and can choose between emulating the look of the Sega Saturn with scan lines, distortion and a lower frame rate, a PC mode that bumps specs to the max, or a custom menu that lets you tweak which features you want on and by how much. After all, not everyone grew up playing Sega games in the arcades and may be better used to their look either on CRTs or LCDs, and so the allowance to better tune the nostalgia is appreciated. It's difficult to choose a clear winner between these two Sega-inspired racing heavyweights, not only because they emulate two distinctly different eras of races, but both punch well above their weight in their unique categories. Comparing Victory Heat Rally to kart racing and Outrun-inspired games, its allowance for full 3D tracks, unique race types, and a colourful cast make it stand out amongst the Steam showroom. However, it's difficult to compare Parking Garage Rally Challenge to anything because it is so unique in its setup. If I had to choose which I prefer, PGRC might win, only as I've never really played anything like it. Where Heat Rally also gave me quite a lot of demo to enjoy, there's so little of PGRC right now to feel satisfied with it. I've mastered its few tracks to get the best times right now, but I need to see what more can be done with its concrete parking structures. It's a game for car dorks like myself, whereas Heat Rally is the bigger crowd pleaser. But both games are on Steam to try yourself, and I'd be interested to know in the comments which prize fighter you're rallying behind.